So we can extend that to any level. Okay. Mostly it will be like a scalable. Okay. So do you guys have any idea about a single page application? SPA, single page application.
No idea.
Okay, fine. So let me just open the thing. Okay, so consider in traditional websites what we will do. So we will have the some web pages like this. So in that web page we will have the some header, some footer, and the content section will be there something like this. So consider we have a web page so which have a design like this. Okay, and consider there is another page. For example, this will be a product page and then we are having another page. So we need to follow same style, I mean a same code for that file also, right? If I'm not wrong. So header we need to write again, footer also we need to write again, right? So on this piece of code, this box, so we need to write again and again for every HTML pages, right? So you guys are working, I mean, working in the HTML pages, right? So you will follow this kind of method for every pages, right? Whatever you have developed. So that is the thing which we are doing in the traditional web pages. But in the single page application, what we will do is we will make the possible code splittings. Here we will, there is a terminology called code splitting. Okay, so using this code splitting, what we will do is we will make the component, I mean, make whatever possible that will make, we will make that as a reusable components. Okay, so components means, so consider we have this header. So what we will do is we will make this header as a separate component. Okay, so here we have this box. So I mean on this box only we are going to use throughout the page. So we will make this as a separate box, and we have footer. So we will make this footer as a separate component. So like the so in some cases we will have button. So we will make that button as a component. So there will be a parent container. Mm, okay, so consider this is a container and I need to show header and footer here. So what I will do is I will just call this header component into my container. Okay, so it will show that contain parent, I mean this header inside my container and this footer also inside my container. Okay, and here we have this box, right? So what we will do is we are going to use this same box for every thing. So what we will do is we will just loop, I mean iterate. So in for loop you have seen the iteration, right? For, I mean in a JavaScript you will use the for loop for iteration, right? So same kind of thing we will use here, and we will just iterate that particular component to make that same structure instead of writing the same piece of code for every boxes. Okay, so which means all the styles or all the contents which belongs to this particular code is manageable in a single component. Okay, you guys are getting that? Instead of changing all the content, I mean, if we need to change any style in the all the boxes means then we need to work for all the change. Instead, I will need to work for the particular component alone, so that will reflect in all the pages. Okay. So like this, we will arrange the components to showcase our requirement inside a parent container. This is said to be a single page application. Okay, we will make all the components into, I mean, all the pieces into components, and we will arrange them into the parent container. Okay, so up to this, do you guys have any doubt?
No, clear.
Okay, so yeah, now let's see how we can create a new application using React. I mean, CLI. So for this one, you need to install the Node.js. So from this URL, you can get that. So when you get into this, you can see the downloads. So get Node.js. So on click of this, this will take to the download page, or you can directly click the downloads and based on your device, so you can download and install this. Okay. So yeah. So once we download, you can verify like node hyphen v. So this will return the current version, whatever it got installed. If you are not seeing this and it throws any error, means like a node is not recognized. Like that means so node is not properly installed in your machine. Okay. So you need to install that one. And after this, you need to verify this also. Once you install node, you can check the npm also. So here also it will return the version number. Okay, this npm is coming along with the node only. So we do not want to download or install anything. So this will comes along with the node. Okay. So npm means node package manager. So using this command, I mean this particular prefix, we will use to install, create, create our React applications. So install a lot of plugins, libraries. Okay. So for that one, this npm is required. So to run this npm, we need this node. Okay. So for that only, we are downloading this particular thing. Okay. So next, let's see the command to create our application, React application. So for that, we are again going with npm space create space white at latest. Okay. So if you give this command alone means if this white is not installed in your machine, and that time it will ask whether to install white or not. So it will ask for y bar n something like that. You need to provide yes. Okay, so now I'm entering this. So it's asking me the project name because this particular white is already present in my machine. So it doesn't ask me. So if you are working very first time, so it will ask for installation. You need to provide yes. So after that completion of this, so you need to provide again same command. So you will come to here. Okay, it will ask the project name. So yeah, I'm just providing React tutorial. Okay. So once I enter this name and press enter, so it will ask me to select the framework. So here we are going to work with React. So I am choosing the React, and it will ask us to choose the variant. So in React itself, we have something like a TypeScript, JavaScript, and all. So here I am choosing TypeScript. Okay. So use roll down white, which is in the experimental mode. So it's selected as a no. So I'm just choosing that one and install with npm and start now. I'm providing yes. So this once you give yes, so it will install the dependencies to run our application, React application in local. So it will install all the dependencies. So yeah, now if you see, it got So all the packages required to run this particular React application got installed. So it's totally like a 157 packages. So it got installed and it moved into the project folder React tutorial and it started to execute in this path. So if we click this, yeah. So right now our React application got started, right? So let me open this one. Yeah. Okay. So basically the package whatever we did installation now. So the code structure will be look like this only. Okay. So the very first one, if you see node modules. So I said right, it installed the dependent packages. So all the packages got, I mean whatever got installed. So that will located under this node modules only, node underscore modules. Okay. So here you will see a number of packages. Don't never mind this one. So this is not required. Okay. But so if anyone asks why we need node modules means, so you can say like, so all the dependencies libraries will get installed inside this node modules only. Okay. So the next step is public. So whenever we need to add any images or assets, so on that time we will add that inside this public folder and we will access that one. Okay. So for that one we are using this public folder and SRC. Inside in this SRC only we used to code all our components. Okay. Let me get into this after seeing all these things. So yeah, keep in mind. So this is used to code our application. So next, this is a git ignore, leave this one, and ESLint, so leave this one also. So ESLint means, so it will check the lint. Here we will configure the lint kind of things. So which means, so we can define here how many warnings it needs to show and what are the things it need to check. So all the things we will define here. Okay, based on that thing, it will check the yes. I mean, our code, it will check based on the rules, whatever we are setting here. Okay. So index.html. So I said right, there will be a parent container. So here our index.html is going to act as a container. And if you see, we don't see any other HTML files inside the source. Okay. So there will be only one HTML file, that is the index.html. Okay. So this will be going to act as a parent. And if you see, we have a div id root. Okay, keep this in mind. So we will see this root inside the source folder. Okay, for now, keep this in mind. And here we are just calling on JS file. Okay, using script. So these are all a common thing which you have seen in the HTML itself. So these are all meta tags, titles, all the things are present inside the head. And in body, we have only one tag. So that is div tag. And for the div, we have ID of root. Okay, and we have a script, which is a which have a location of source. That particular script is presented inside the source and main.js. File name is main.jsx. Okay. Yeah. So leave this package JSON. So whatever packages we have installed, so the detail for that particular packages will present inside this package JSON. So we don't want to care about this one. The next thing is main thing is package JSON. Okay, so in this we will have the name, version, and type of our application. So here we are going to work as a module only. So for that only you will be able to see type module here also. Okay, so here type is module and scripts. So based on the scripts only our application is running. So let me try to find. Okay, right now we are not seeing any scripts, right? So let me cancel this one. I'm getting into again into our application React tutorial. So to start our application, so here if you see we have dev build lint preview. So to start our application, so I need to run this command, dev command. So for that again we need to use npm run dev. Okay, so once I give this, our application will compile and it will get started. So again, it is in the same path only. So I didn't do anything. So it automatically refreshed and it started. Okay. And whenever we are going to build our application, we need to give this command. And if we need to check the lint is used, so we need to add this command instead of dev. So we need to provide a build instead of again. So to check whenever we need to use the lint, we need to use this one. So preview. Okay. And yeah, these are all the scripts. And if you see, we have a dependency and dev dependency. Okay. So dependency means we are actually, this is our React application, right? So our main dependency is React and React DOM. Okay. So React is the main thing which is required to run whole application, and React DOM is useful for the DOM elements. Okay, for that one, we require these two packages mainly. And these are the dev dependencies which are useful to make our application to run smoothly. Okay, for that one, it got installed in the dev dependencies. Okay, and whatever plugins, libraries we are seeing here, uh, plugins we are seeing here. So all the packages only for the, the particular packages required for this plugin only got installed inside this node modules. Okay. So, and whenever we are installing any new plugins on that time, it will either add in the dependency or it will get added in the dev dependency. Okay. And whenever you are committing your code into the Git, on that time, we won't commit the node modules as this particular package itself contain 300 to 400 MB. So we won't commit this one. Instead, we commit only this package JSON. So the code developer who is working with you, he or she will pull that particular code and they can simply do the npm install. So whenever they do npm install, all the required packages, it will get again install and all the packages will be listed into the node modules. Okay. Yeah. And finally, we have a white configuration. So using white only, we have created this application, right? React application. So for that one, we need a configuration. So inside this, we have a React. Okay, that's it. So next, we will get into the source folder. I'm coming directly to the main.jsx. Okay, because from here only our application is getting start. So if you see, we have import strict mode, import create root, and we have imported something. So you guys know about export and import?
No.
Okay. So export means when you are consider you are creating some application, some function. So you are deciding that particular function is required for multiple places. Okay. So on that time, what you will do is you will make that application or function to export. Okay. You will point that particular function to export. So like this. Okay. So whenever you add export, so that particular function will accessible in any of the record places. So wherever I record, I can directly import that particular function like this and I can use that. Okay. So that's why we are going with the export and import. So here we have added a export to this app.jsx. So we are importing that one here. Okay. So next one. So create root. Actually, if you see here, I ask you guys to remember this one, right? So this is the thing which going to act as the container, and inside this container only, all our application will start and run. I mean, place and run. So I said here, right? So there will be a outer container, and inside that we can arrange the required components based on the requirement, right? So this div id root is acting as the container. So this will hold the whole components, required components. Okay. So with this, I mean using this root, we are going to create the root element. So we are getting the ID by root, and we are creating that as a root element. And inside that we are rendering app component. So here render means we are just populating that particular component inside the root. Okay. So which means we are loading this app JSX, this one inside the div id root. So let us inspect this and check. So see inside this div root we have all the components, right? We don't have anything and after this. So we have only div root, and inside that div we have all the elements which is coming from app.jsx, this one. Okay. So yeah. Okay, now we have created this one, and if you see, we have a strict mode. So strict mode means it won't allow any uncleaned codes. So before compiling itself, it will throw the error or warning whenever we are using strict mode. So for that one, we are using this strict mode. Either we can go with the strict mode or we don't want. But the thing is, the basic setup is look like this only. Okay, so create root, and we need to define the root ID here, and we need to render the basic, I mean the first starting element. So here our app component is the starting element. Okay, inside this app component only we will load all the record modules, I mean components. Okay, so yeah, and index.css, whenever you guys are working with the common style that need to apply for all the components. So you can define that inside the index.css, or if it is specific to that particular component, we can define like this. Okay. So yeah, other than this, whenever we are creating custom components, okay, here app.jsx is our component, right? So this is a custom component, and the name which we are providing, so that need to be capitalized. So for example, here app, if you see app, A is capital, and inside the we have a function, right? So here also if you see we have a is capital. Okay, so we need to keep this in mind, and for a css also. So whenever we are creating new components, on that time file name need to be capitalized. Okay, so do you have any doubt on this?
No, as of now.
Okay, fine. Okay, so yeah, so let's back to the React introduction again. So as I said, the main usage of this, I mean, it will based on the component structure. Okay, here React is using the components based structure. So it's mainly focus on the UI, building the UI. Okay, to make our application more faster, here it is using the virtual DOM. Okay, virtual DOM means it's a copy of the real DOM, and whenever there is a re-render happens, So it will first update the virtual DOM, and from that update, it will check the actual DOM instead of re-rendering whole DOM. So DOM means our HTML tree, okay, document tree. So instead of reloading all the page, so it will pick it will find the exact change. I mean, exact element which got updated. So it will update only that particular element. Okay. So for that one, we are using the different, React diffing algorithm is there. So we will see that in when we get deeper into the React. Okay. So and it's here mainly focused on the UI states. As I said, when we have one form, so on click of that particular form, that data need to be stored in some state, so that we can easily access that particular form data in some. Okay. So, for today, we will close our call up to this. So you guys do the basic installation and make our application to run. Okay. So we will get deeper into the React by tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow we will see the advanced JavaScript concepts which we are going to use inside this React. Okay. So that it will be easy for you guys to understand why we are going there. So what are the things we will use inside the React from the JavaScript? Okay. So mostly we will see the details about the ES6. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So try to complete up to this for today.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you. So let's start. I'll share my screen. So yeah. Have you guys done the installation? Anyone face any issues?
No issues.
Okay, fine. Okay, so today we are going to see about the ES6 features, whatever we are going to cover in the React. Okay, so very first one is variable declaration. So here in React, we will mostly use let and const. You guys know what's the difference between let and const and like a var?
One cannot change value, right?
Sorry.
In one of those, the value will be fixed, like it cannot change.
Yeah, whenever we are using const for any variable, so that particular variable we can't reassign that value. Once we assigned any value, we can't reassign that. Okay. So yeah, when we compare with the var, let and const means, so var will have a global scope and let and const will be the block level scope. Okay. And in case of hoisting will allowed in the var, but in let and const it won't allow. Actually, it will when the hoisting happens, it will move to the temporal dead zone. Okay, so it will return like cannot. It will throw a reference error by saying cannot access before initialization. Okay, for let and const. But in var, it will return as undefined. Okay. So yeah, in most of the in our applications, React applications, so we will use the let and const. Okay. So yeah, next topic is arrow functions. So you guys know about the arrow function? Any idea on arrow function and the normal function, difference between arrow function and normal function? I think you may have seen this in the JavaScript itself. Okay. So in a normal functions, what we will do? So we will use to define our class using the function and function name, and we will provide the parameter. So block of code will come here, and we will write our code here, right? So this will be our normal function, and whenever we need to access any variable, so we will use this inside the function, right? So in a arrow function, what we will do is, okay, so you can consider this as a function expression. So we are declaring a var and function. So we may declare like this when we are working with a function expression. So in arrow function, what we will do is we will define a function. I mean, create a function like this. Okay. And we used to write our code here. Here we won't add the this because whatever the thing which we are written, I mean, writing inside this block of code, that will get actually bind to the parent one. So we don't record this command in here. Okay. So we will call arrow function or else something. Okay. So yeah, we will use to define like this. So even though if it is empty, we need to add the parentheses like this. Or if we have only one variable, so we can simply provide the variable name as a parameter. Okay. So if we have a multiple parameters means we will use to add like this. But if we have only one parameter, we can go like this. But if it is empty, we need to provide empty parentheses. Okay. Yeah. So any doubt on this? Yeah. So this one can say as fat arrow function. Okay. So here then we are representing this one as a arrow. Okay, and we won't use the function keyword. When we are using the arrow function, we won't use the function keyword. Instead, we will use the variable keyword. Okay, that's the difference between the normal function and arrow function. Okay, in React, we will use whenever we define any component and event handlers and inline callbacks. So for wherever record, we will mostly use the arrow functions only. Okay, so why we record this one is so it will provide the sort of syntax and implicit return. Okay, so for example, if we need to, I mean, whenever we are working with any function, so if we need to return any data means we need to add the return keyword and we will add the data like this. But here, consider, so I can simply give data. Okay, so this will have a implicit return. So whenever we call this function, so it will automatically return the data. So that's what here we are saying like implicit return. Okay, and it doesn't record the this. Okay, this is the difference between the arrow function and the normal function. So any doubt on this one?
No, Raj, as of now.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So next is a template literal. Any idea on a template literals? Any idea?
No idea.
Okay. So you guys know, so we will use to write a console.log, right, in JavaScript. So whenever we use to write a console.log, so if we need to bind any variable into the string, so we will use like this, right? So for example, hello name. So again, I need to add some string means, so I need to like space welcome. So we will define like this, right? I mean, so for example, I'm asking in JavaScript, we will, okay, let me, uh, so, Raj, I'm adding like this. So here it will print like this, right? But whenever we are going with the template literals, we don't need to print go like this. So instead, what we will do is we will add the tilde, so symbol, and we don't record this double quotes and all inside this, and plus also we don't record. Instead, what we will do is we will add the dollar curly brace for that particular variable. Okay. So and we can simply write the string as it is. So it will bind the dynamic value directly into that curly brace. So when we check now, so see this, this is also giving the same result, but the way of declaration is different. I mean, whatever we are added in the console is different. So we will use to have this one in the React for the class names, app API URLs, console logs, inline JSX. So yeah, these are the places we will use to add. For sample, I can show you the project which I am working on. Okay. So if you see here, we are using template literal, right? So like this, we will use this wherever we require. So like in the class names or API URLs. Here actually this is a API URL. So here we are using template literal. We are just binding the variable coming from the environment. Okay. Yeah. So like this, we will add that wherever required. This is the usage of template literal. Okay. Yeah. So next one is the destructuring. So yeah, any idea on this destructuring? Okay. So when we have a object or array, so in that object, instead of iterating that whole object, so instead we need only one or two keys. Okay. On that time, we will go with the destructuring. So for that one, what we will do is we need to provide the variable, I mean keyword or a variable keyword, and we need to provide the curly brace, and inside that curly brace, we need to add the key name, whatever we key, I mean, yeah, whatever key we record from that particular object. So we need to add that key name and we need to assign the object name, this one. So what it will do is it will extract the value of that particular key name, key, whatever we have added here. So for example, here we have added a name. So it will extract this Raj from this object and for ID it will extract this particular ID. Okay, so wherever record we can just call this name. So if we do this console.log of name means, then the name from this object will get print here. So same ID also will get print if we use ID. So this will be useful whenever we are working with API calls. So for example, if we need to pass ID alone from the object, so on that time we can just destructure that ID from that object and we can simply pass that into the API calls. Okay, so this is the object destructuring, and same like this we have the array destructuring. Okay, in array destructuring we will use the square bracket and we need to provide the variable name. So whatever name we are providing here, for example, here in the 0th index we have added A, and in the first index we have added B. So in array we have two objects. So for 0th index, this 0th index object will get assigned, and for first index, this first index object will get assigned from the array. Okay, so wherever record we can access that one. So this is the destructuring of object and array. Okay, so we will mainly use this destructuring, object destructuring in the props, states, and object returned from hooks. Okay, so for example, if we are receiving props means, so we can destructure that one like this. So for the states, so we will use to okay, we will see detail about these things and all. Okay, don't confuse with this one. So for now, just get the idea of destructuring. So like this, we will do the object destructure and array destructuring. Okay. So next is the spread and rest operator. So spread and rest means, so actually here for both cases, we will use triple dot. Okay. But the usage of both will be differ. So this spread will use full for spreading the object or array. Okay, for example, here we have a person detail, and so we have some set of object data. Okay, this person detail is the object. So we have some set of data, and for example, I need to create a new object. So this need to take all the details from the person detail, and along with this, I need to add some more details. Okay, so for that one, what we are doing is inside the curly brace, I'm using triple dot and this object name. Okay, I'm adding that one, comma, I'm adding additional two more key with value. Okay, so what will happen is by default, it will get all three key and values from this object, and along with this, it will add these two objects also. So let me show you here. Okay, console.log new object. Object. Oops. Yeah. See this object have name, age, location, address, and is student, right? So this object get the values, all the values from this object, and along with that, it added other two values also. Okay, this is the usage of destruct. I mean, spread in the object. Same thing we can do in the arrays also. So for example, we have a array one and it have five values, five elements in it, and we are creating array 2 along with the data present in the array 1. So for that one again we are using triple dot inside the square bracket, comma, and we are adding other three attributes, I mean elements for this array. So this array will now hold these five elements along with the three elements. So total 8 elements will be present here. Okay. So any doubt on this?
So why we use that three triple dot, sir?
So actually we are
Triple.
spreading all the elements which is present inside this array and adding that one. So we are using spread operator.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So here also if we need all the object key value means, so we need to do the loop and we need to iterate and we need to add that one, right? So instead of doing that one in ES6 we have the spread operator. So with that spread operator we are simply adding that object name. So it will iterate, it will extract all the key value pairs present inside that and it will assign that one. And same thing is happening for array. It will extract all the elements present in that array and it will add that into this particular one array. Okay. Yeah. So next is a REST operator. So REST. So here we have seen about the object and array, right? Using spread. In REST, where we will do it, what we will do is we will add that inside an parameter. Okay. So consider we have a function. So in that function, we may pass different values. Okay. Okay. Let me, what I'll do is I'll just take this one. So let me open JS bin. So for now, I'm commenting out this. So to execute this particular function, so what we will do? So, okay. So here simply we have a function name. So this function have three parameters ABC, and we are just returning that ABC by adding that one. Okay. So I'm just printing this. Instead of doing like this, I am simply adding console log. Yeah. So it's returning 60. Yeah, this is what we are expected. So it's returning that one. So now consider on first time I will pass three values. On next time I may pass four values or five values. Okay. But it okay. The number of values which I am passing it may be dynamic. Okay. So in that case, how can we add the parameters? So this can't be like a fixed manner, right? You guys are getting. So here, if we have a fixed arguments means, so we can add the fixed parameter list and we can pass the data to that one. But if this arguments which we are going to pass, that will be a dynamic means. So how can we add that parameters? So we can't add that one, right? So for that one, we are using the REST operator. Okay. So we are simply adding triple dot and parameter name. Okay. So with this parameter name, what we will do is, okay. So I'm enabling this one. So again, I'm adding console.log here. Okay. And here also I'm adding console.log. Actually, now it won't return the exact result. So let's see what it is returning. Okay. So now clear. So A is not defined. Yeah, we have provided A. Yeah. So actually, okay. Let me comment out this. I'm just returning the same numbers whatever we are receiving. See, actually, whatever we are passing here, that is coming as an array in this place. Okay, so to work with this, either we can go with the like for loop. Okay, so either we can go with the for loop, or we can if the expected value is only will be the numbers, means we can use the reducers also. So for example, dot reduce accumulator and current value. Okay, so here I'm just adding that accumulator with the current. Okay, so initial value will be 0, right? Okay, let's see how it is returning. So see, actually it's returning 60. So this means from this array, I'm just reducing by counting that each value. Okay, whatever we have done here, so I'm doing that. So now we got this data. So if I'm passing like a 40, so I'm passing only two values. So let's see how it's returning. So on first time it's returning 60 on count of all these, and second time it's returning 100 by counting all these values, and third time it's returning 30 by counting this value. So you guys are able to get the usage of this, right?
Yes.
I mean REST operator.
Yes, yes, Raj.
Okay. So now, yeah, these are the use cases which we will use REST in our application. So for copy the array or object, updating the state immutably, passing props. So for these cases, we will use this spread, and REST for the function parameters, filtering props. Okay, so for these cases, we will use the REST. Okay, so okay. Mm, so you guys know about the default function. Okay, so I'm having some function. Okay, so let it be a JavaScript function itself. So I'm having some function with the function. Okay, so for this I have name as a parameter. I just need to print that name. Okay, so I'm calling this function name, and so actually here I need to pass the name, right? Then if I'm passing name, it will print that name, or else it won't print that. Correct?
Yes.
So consider here I have a name along with some default value. Okay. So whenever it receives value from the call function call, so on that time, okay, let me pause like this. Okay. So now what I am doing, so I am passing Rajkumar as the argument. So this name will receive Rajkumar, and it will print this Rajkumar here. Okay. So in the same scenario, I'm not passing the value. Okay. Now what it will do is it will take the default value as a value for this name, and it will print this. So I'm clearing this and I'm running this. See, for first one it's printing Rajkumar, and for next one it's printing Raj. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we will use like this, like labels, and also useful for reusable components and helper functions. Okay, to set the default values. For example, if you are creating reusable component, and there you need to have some default styles or default labels. On that time we will use this kind of thing, and whenever we need to change update that particular style or labels, so on that time we will pass data from the parent and we will update that one. Okay, wherever we are calling that particular function, so we will pass that data, so it will automatically update that. Okay. So next okay. So like I enhanced object literals. So here mostly we will use the object literals for the API calls, API payloads and all. So for that one we will go with the object literals, and here mostly it will work with the promise in React. Okay. You guys have a knowledge on the promise, right? Promise and async and await.
No, Raj.
Oh, sir.
Okay. Okay. So promise is the thing which will execute the some particular task which has the two callbacks, resolve and reject. Okay. Whenever any particular execution is happening, so it may return the success response or failure response. So whenever we are passing, I mean that particular action got success, so it will return the value in the callback. Okay. Whenever it got failed, on that time it will pass the value in the reject callback. Okay. So once this particular action got completed, we will get the data. If it is success means using, then we will get the data. If it is failed means we will use the catch to get the error. Okay. So yeah, in our promise we have three states. One is pending, fulfilled and rejected. Okay. Pending will be at the initial state. So before starting any execution, so it will be in the pending state. If there is a error, on that time it will come to rejected state. Either it's completed the I mean for example, if it is return any success value or failure value, so it will get into the fulfilled state. Okay. So this is about the promise, and here we will mostly use that in the API calls. Okay, promise. And next is async and await. So async and await also will do the same thing, but it will wait till the response comes from the API. For example, we have a promise, so it calls the API. Okay. So but it doesn't receives the response from the server. So it need to wait till the action completes, and so once it got the response from the API, it will return the it return that value to the, I mean assign that value to the data. Okay, until that it need to wait. It should not go to the next execution. Okay, for that one we will use the async and await. Okay, so this is about the promise, async and await. Okay, next is the array methods. So here we will mostly use the map, filter, reduce, and find, sum, every. Okay. So any idea on map? Why we need the map? Okay. So consider we have a array, and you need to update that value of the array. Okay. But instead of affecting this one, so that array need to be a new array. So for that case, we will use the map method. So this is a array method. Okay. So here what it will do is it will iterate every item inside that array. Okay. and it will execute the block of code whatever we are providing inside that, and it will return the whole value as a new array. For example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we are just multiplying that value with 2. Okay, so after completion of iterating of all the elements present in this array, it will return as new array with the value of 2 comma 4 comma 6 comma 8 comma 10, and whatever value coming here, it will get assigned to this result. Okay, that's the usage of map. Okay, next is filter. Filter will be useful whenever we need to filter any, I mean, okay, here also we have a array. This is also array method only. So what it will do is it will return the matched results as a array. Okay, for example, here if you see, we are using filter and we are using the condition like whatever value is greater than 2. Okay, so it will return that one. So for example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are checking condition value greater than 2. So this will iterate every item and it will return these three values, as these three values are greater than 2. Okay, yeah, so we already seen about the reduce, right? So it will use the, I mean, it will just reduce all the values to the single one. Okay, it will use the accumulator and current value. So this accumulator stores the current, I mean, so stores the initial value. So initial value we will provide at the end using comma separated. Okay, what we are here doing is we are just adding the accumulator value along with the current value. So for example, here we have set as 0, right? So this 0 will get assigned to this accumulator at the very first time. Okay, so consider this start to iterate. So current value will receive the 1. Okay, so 0 plus 1. So then the result is now 1. Then that 1 will again stored in the accumulator. Now next iteration will start. So now the current value will be 2. So what will happen is 1 plus 2. Okay, now the result is 3. Again that result will get assigned to this accumulator, and now the next iteration is 3. So 3 plus 3, so 6. 6 will get assigned here. Now the current value will be 4, so 6 plus 4. So like that it will iterate every value and it will add that one with the accumulator. Okay, that's the usage of reduce. So we can go like this. If it is a object also, we can calculate like this. So we need to use the object key. Okay, so any doubt on this three methods: map, filter, reduce?
So instead of writing complex for loops and if and else statements, all is completed in one line, right?
Yes, yes. So it's a inbuilt functions which is present in the ES. Okay. Okay. Any other doubt? Anyone on these three methods?
No, Raj.
Okay. So next, let's move into the find method. So here in filter, what? Yep. Okay. So in filter, what we will do, what we are doing. So we are returning all the matched results as a response, right? In find, what it will do is it will find the particular value I mean a particular condition. So if it got match means, so for example, here we have a object with mark 25, mark 20, mark 30. Okay, I'm using condition like value dot mark is greater than 20. Okay, so now it first itself it's getting match. So what it will do is it will return the first matching element. Okay, as a object. Okay, so in filter it is returning all the matched. I mean whatever the condition it gets satisfies, it's returning all the values as a array. But in the find it will return as a object. Okay, so for example here I'm using 2. So in this array it's try to find the largest value, I mean greatest value of 2. Okay, so it is 3, right? So it will return 3. If I am going with mark, so for this array, so it will return 25. This object, sorry, not 25, it will return this whole object. Okay, yeah, so I already added here. Okay, any doubt on this find method? Okay,
So Raja,
so
actually, one doubt.
mhm,
So you
yep,
mentioned the value mark above 20, right? So
yes,
we have to find. So in that you have to you also mentioned the mark 30, but that's not got printed.
it will
Only the first.
match the first matching only. It
Okay,
will
okay,
return
fine.
the match only. It won't iterate after that. It will break if it find any values means it will break in that case itself.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So next is sum or every. So actually here the use case will be different. So in sum means it will check any value is greater than 5 or any value is greater than 4. Okay, so here if any one of the element is greater than 4 means it will return as true. Okay, at least one item need to be true, then it will return as true or it will return as false. So for example, if I am using greater than 5 means none of the elements were greater than 5, so this will return false. Okay, in okay, sum and else were boolean thing. Okay, so here it is a object, and in reduce it will reduce all the values to the single value, and in filter it will return the filtered array. In map it will return a new array. Okay, so sum and every is a boolean. So some need will check at least one of the element is true or true. So in that case, if it is true means it will return true or it will return false. Okay, in same thing for every it will also do the iterate. Okay, it will also do the iterate and it will check whether all the elements were getting true. Okay, so here I'm using value is greater than 4. Okay, so we have 4 values which is not greater than 4, then this will get failed. Okay, so every item present inside this array need to match with that condition, then it will return true or it will return false. For some it will check every elements present in this array and it will try to find any one of the item is true or it will return false. Okay, so this is about the sum and every. Sum. Okay, Yeah, mainly we will use this for the validation purpose. Yeah. So next one is modules. So modules mostly we will use the import and export. Okay, so yesterday itself I have explained about the export and import, right? So same thing only. So we will use as a default export, named export, importing components, importing goods, importing utilities. So these are the use cases. We will use the export and imports. Okay, and next one is a optional chaining. So any idea why we are using like this?
No, Raj, no idea.
Uh, So consider we have a object of user, and inside that we have another object with the key address, and inside that address we have a so so inside that address we have a key called city and Chennai. Okay, so consider this object is inside that user, we don't have anything, but we are trying to find the city. We are expecting, actually expecting this one, but it's not coming. So in that case we will get the our code will get break, right? So to avoid that one, we will use the optional chaining. So it will check first user is present or not. If it is present, then it will check the address. So in this case address is not present, then it will return here itself, okay, as false. If it is present means again it will check for the city to get the value. Okay, for that only we are using optional chaining. Okay, so yeah, like this kind of conditions we can use. So for example, first it will check for the user, and then it will check for the address, and then city. If all the values are present means it will execute the block of this block of code, or it will directly go to the else block. Okay, and this is while checking the condition and while printing that one. So we will simply use like this. Okay, so yeah, this is the usage of optional chaining. And last one is a null is collision. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are checking the value. If that particular value is present means it will print assign that value, or it will directly assign the default value whatever we are providing. Okay, for example, mm, const name. Okay, so I'm getting some consider I'm getting some value from the API. So I am assigning that value. So if that particular I'm checking value is present or not. If it is not present, then I am printing Rajkumar. Okay. So if value is present means whatever value came from the API, so that will get assigned to this one, or it will assign Rajkumar as a default value. This is the default value. This can be anything. Either we can just do the empty, or we can set as null or undefined, whatever record we can do that one. But here I'm just adding the name for easy understanding. Okay. So any doubt on this? So these are the things we will mostly use in the React.
No, Raj, all clear.
Okay. So you guys are clear on this, right? Yeah. Okay. So with this, we will close our call for today. So we will connect on Monday. So from Monday onwards, we will start to create a component, and so we will see one by one, like passing the props. So all the things we will start one by one from Monday onwards.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question?
Yeah.
For sum and every, I can think of an example for every. For example, if marks are greater than 35 or if mark is less than 35, then he failed that semester. But I can't think of an example for sum.
Mm, okay. So you can check like whether he is present or not. So for example, if he is present more than 5 days or 3 days, then we need to mark him as present. Okay.
Okay.
So it will check how many days he is present. So on that case, we may use some values, right? So if that particular value is greater than the given value, then it will return true.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any others have any doubt?
No, Rose.
Okay, fine. So yeah, we will close our call for today. So we will connect on Monday. Thank you, guys.